Welcome back to my channel. And you know that moment when everyone's calling you so strong, so capable, but inside you're thinking, I'm tired of being strong. And I find this a lot within our community because, yeah, we need to talk about that. I'm Samantha, and today we're having a real conversation about the cape we never asked to wear, right? We all the times we've done it because we feel like we had to. And I just wanted to just be able to let you guys know that you do not have to do this. I think we were so taught constantly that we had to be with everybody else, we forget about ourselves. So I wanted to be able to share something real with you because I noticed that in my last relationship, I became so good at emotional choreography, or we call this sometimes overfunctioning. You know what I mean? Like gently knowing, look, I could manage everyone's mood, and I feel like I was on edge. I was working overtime in that emotional labor department. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table one evening, my chest so tight it felt like I was wearing a corset, trying to find the right words to express a simple need for myself. And I didn't know what it was going to be met. It was going to be met with just hostility or just saying overreacting or being sensitive, but just thinking about how to package my feelings so they wouldn't get upset. My partner, it just was a lot, right? The voice in my head kept getting smaller. I felt myself minimizing at times. My feelings had to tiptoe before they could talk. So I had to figure out like how I could say it and doing mental gymnastics and how to be able to talk to somebody, to talk to him, just overall. And a lot of times it's being an emotional manager that I forget about how to simply be me because I was so worried about how someone else responds. So, when you're constantly scanning the room to read emotions, when you're always the one making things okay, when you're exhausted, you're from translating your needs into a language that wouldn't rock the boat, or we're so worried about rocking the boat. I want you to realize that you're not just over functioning, you're slowly fading away. And a lot of times you can feel it. You can feel the times when you want to say something, but you feel like you can't, like you feel just kind of really being small there. And it took me hitting that wall, that moment where the tension in my chest became louder than my fear speaking up, to realize something had to change, not just in my relationship, but in how I showed up for myself. So that tension in my chest, it wasn't just anxiety, because there was times where I felt like I was having a panic attack a lot of times in that space because it was a part of me that I felt like was being closed off. But it was my power trying to break free, right? My truth fighting to be heard. So the breakthrough wasn't dramatic. It wasn't this huge moment where I suddenly found my voice and everything changed. It just wasn't like that. It started small. One evening I felt that familiar tightness creeping in, that tension that always came before I needed to express a need. But this time, instead of immediately jumping to manage the situation, I paused. I put my hand on my chest and I just breathed. And in that breath, I heard myself, like really heard myself, not the version of me that was carefully just crafted to keep the peace, because that a lot of times that would happen. And I can imagine you can understand what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments if you understand what I'm talking about. But and not the one who always knew the right things to say, just me. Okay. And so that moment changed everything, not because I suddenly became this completely different person, but because I finally let myself acknowledge how exhausting it was to constantly dim my light for somebody else. So I started practicing speaking without editing, right? Feeling without apologizing, kind of a small laugh. And yes, it was messy. Yes, it was uncomfortable, but you have to be able to fully show up as yourself in all these spaces. Because yes, there were moments when that old urge to smooth things over, to make everything okay for everyone else came back. It just came rushing back. But for the first time, I was choosing myself, choosing my voice, choosing my truth. And I want you to be able to choose your own truth, because right now, wherever you are, I invite you to try something with me. Okay. So I want you to place your hand on your chest. I always do this within my sessions. If you don't know, I'm a therapist as well during the day, but just human woman, Black woman, and mom of 2 boys at night, right? So understand that if you're in your chest, yes, right where that tension lives, I need you to take a deep breath with me. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. Notice what's there. The tightness, the heaviness, the words that have been waiting to be spoken. This is your power, your truth, your voice. Is what I discovered through this journey, and what I know deep in my bones is that your voice, your feelings, your needs, understand that they don't need to be managed, right? No one needs to be saying you're oversensitive or overreactive. A lot of times you're doing that because they have not felt their own emotions or making you feel bad for yours. And so they don't need to be managed or minimized. They need to be heard, first by you, then by the world. Right. And so, I created membership spaces like Beyond You Collective podcast, and really trying to really cultivate the community where we are okay and want to be seen just for who we are, because I understand that I want you to be able to reclaim your voice, remembering who you are underneath all the expectations and the roles that you play. It's too important to understand that you don't have to walk this alone, or whether you just let us know down in the comments if you understand what we're talking about here. So how do you know if you're carrying this weight? And I want us to check in. When's the last time you said, I need help, and actually meant it? Right? Are you everyone's emergency contact, but don't know who to call for yourself? So I want you to think about that, because so the sound went out in the last video, so I wanted to make sure to get this finished. That smile in your meetings while your shoulders, are screaming, and just so tense because you feel like you can't show up fully as yourself. And I understand if you're nodding right now. I want you to know I get it, and your strength is beautiful, but it was never meant to be your prison. And so I want us to be able to just kind of be there for ourselves. So right now, wherever you are, let's just take a moment, put one hand on your heart and one on your belly, and allow yourself to deep breathe, right? So just learn to be there for yourself. And as you take that last breath, this right here, this is your permission to put the cape down, even if just for a minute. Now, this is just the beginning of unraveling these layers, right? And whether it's Beyond You Collective or just having that safe space for yourself, we go into much just deeper work when we kind of do it together in the Beyond You Collective. But what I want you to be able to fully explore, despite everything, is this strong woman mask we tend to hold up. And I want you to start doing the sacred work of rediscovering yourself, which we're going to keep talking about on this channel as well. And you don't have to do it alone. And so know that your strength is a gift, but it's not the only thing you're allowed to be. So I want you to drop a heart in the comments if this resonated, and let me just know what part of being the strong one you're ready to release. Okay, so let me know in the comments, and until next time, make sure to like and follow so we know that you want to be on this journey with us. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.